Picture a dramatic scene unfolding on the vast expanse of the ocean. Russian Navy ships cautiously navigating waters, encircled by the colossal silhouettes of U.S. aircraft carriers. The air crackles with tension, each vessel a floating fortress of military might. But in this high-stakes game of maritime chess, the unexpected lurks just beneath the surface. What unseen forces brought these giants of the sea to this tense standoff? And what extraordinary twist of fate turned this confrontation into a tale that defies imagination? Join us as we delve into the captivating tale of what happens when these titans of the sea clash and fate intervenes. The Pentagon started tracking 4 Russian warships as they crossed the Atlantic Ocean for a naval exercise. These ships carried out live fire exercises, which were meant to mimic an attack on enemy vessels. When the Russian warships entered the port of Havana, it brought back memories of the Cuban Missile Crisis in October 1962. This was a tense and dangerous standoff between the United States and the Soviet Union during the Cold War, marking the closest the two superpowers ever came to nuclear conflict. The Cuban Missile Crisis was unique in many ways. It involved careful calculations, mistakes, direct and secret communications, and misunderstandings between the two nations. This high-stakes drama mostly unfolded at the highest levels of government, with President Kennedy and Soviet leader Khrushchev directly involved, while the usual foreign policy bureaucracies played a minimal role. After the failed Bay of Pigs invasion, where the U.S. tried to overthrow Fidel Castro's regime, the Kennedy administration was planning Operation Mongoose to further disrupt Cuba. In July 1962, Soviet Premier Nikita Khrushchev secretly agreed with Cuban Premier Fidel Castro to place Soviet nuclear missiles in Cuba as a deterrent against future U.S. invasion attempts. Construction of these missile sites began in late summer, but U.S. intelligence soon spotted a general buildup of Soviet arms in Cuba, including IL-28 bombers, during routine surveillance flights. On September 4, 1962, President Kennedy publicly warned against the introduction of offensive weapons into Cuba. Despite this warning, on October 14th, a U.S. U-2 spy plane took photos clearly showing the construction of medium-range and intermediate-range ballistic missile sites in Cuba. These images were processed and presented to the White House the next day, triggering the Cuban Missile Crisis. President Kennedy called together his closest advisors to decide on a course of action. Some advisors, including all the Joint Chiefs of Staff, pushed for an airstrike to destroy the missiles, followed by an invasion of Cuba. Others favored issuing strong warnings to Cuba and the Soviet Union. Kennedy chose a middle path. On October 22nd, he ordered a naval quarantine of Cuba. The term quarantine was used instead of blockade to avoid the legal implications of a state of war and to gain support from the Organization of American States. That same day, Kennedy sent a letter to Khrushchev, declaring that the U.S. would not allow offensive weapons to be delivered to Cuba and demanding the dismantling of the missile sites. This letter marked the beginning of a series of direct and indirect communications between the White House and the Kremlin. Kennedy also addressed the nation on television, informing the public about the situation in Cuba, his decision to enforce a quarantine, and the potential global consequences if the crisis escalated. His message was stern and echoed the Monroe Doctrine, warning that any nuclear missile launched from Cuba against any nation in the Western Hemisphere would be considered an attack by the Soviet Union, requiring a full retaliatory response. Now, in a bold statement, Vladimir Putin has issued a stark warning to the United States, highlighting the significant threat posed by Russia's vast nuclear arsenal. He emphasized that Russian warships have come dangerously close to what he calls the point of no returns, a term underscoring the gravity of the situation. According to Putin, Western efforts to inflict a strategic defeat on Russia demonstrate a dangerous level of recklessness. This declaration is particularly noteworthy as it coincided with a meeting of G7 leaders, including President Biden, in Italy. The agenda included plans to provide Ukraine with financial aid using confiscated Russian assets, a move that has infuriated Putin. He described this action as theft and vowed that the Western states would face repercussions. Ironically, experts argue that Russia doesn't even have a proper fleet. Just 2 years ago, no one believed Ukraine could withstand Russia's military power. Yet here we are in 2024, with Ukraine's fierce resistance proving all the skeptics wrong. Despite being significantly outmatched, Ukraine has managed to defend its sovereignty and push back against Russian forces, showcasing extraordinary courage against overwhelming odds. Russian naval forces were among the most formidable challenges Ukraine faced. However, through innovative strategies, resourcefulness, and international assistance, Ukraine has effectively challenged Russian naval dominance in the Black Sea and the Sea of Azov. Saying that Ukraine contested Russia's naval dominance might even be an understatement considering recent developments. Need a hint? On March 22, 2022, a Russian Raptor-class vessel was hit by a Ukrainian anti-tank guided missile, causing the high-speed coastal patrol boat to be swiftly towed away. On March 24, 2022, an Alligator-class landing ship called Saratov, docked in Berdyansk, Ukraine, caught fire. The Ukrainian Navy claimed responsibility, reporting the attack was carried out using short-range OTR-21 Tochka tactical ballistic missiles. Russia confirmed the ship was towed from the area, but gave no details about the cause of the fire. Notably, the Russian Navy had only 3 of these Cold War-era ships in active service, so this successful targeting represented a significant blow to Russia's naval capabilities. In the following days, 2 other Russian ships, the Tsezar Kunikov and the Novocherkassk, docked nearby, also fled the area under similar circumstances, fire and smoke engulfing their decks. On April 13, 2022, one of Ukraine's biggest wins in the naval theater occurred: the sinking of the Slava-class guided missile cruiser Moskva, the flagship of Russia's Black Sea Fleet. The Moskva, leading the naval assault during Russia's invasion of Ukraine, played a crucial role in the amphibious assault on Snake Island. As one of the most powerful and iconic warships in the region, its destruction was a major blow to Russia. The honor of sinking the Moskva went to 2 Neptune anti-ship missiles launched from the Crimean coast. After a massive explosion and subsequent fire, the Moskva sank a day later while being towed away, taking at least 18 sailors down with it. Some reports suggest the death toll was significantly higher. The symbolic destruction of the Moskva, named after Russia's capital, was a huge morale boost for Ukraine. Early May 2022 brought no relief to the Russian Navy. The Ukrainian forces continued their relentless attacks, causing significant damage to more Russian vessels, further challenging Russia's naval presence in the region. Ukrainian Bayraktar TB2 drones took out 4 more Raptor-class patrol boats, significantly impacting the Russian fleet, which only had about 16 of these boats to begin with. This means Ukraine eliminated over 30% of Russia's Raptors in just over a month. In the second attack, 3 boats were completely destroyed, while the 4th was damaged and towed to Sevastopol for repairs. Additionally, a BK-16 high-speed assault boat, one of only 12 in Russia's arsenal, sank near Snake Island. On May 7, 2022, the Bayraktar TB2 drones continued their successful campaign in the Black Sea by damaging a Cerna-class landing craft stationed on Snake Island. Then, on June 17, 2022, the Bayan M-class corvette Veliki Ustyug, which had previously participated in Russia's invasion of Ukraine, was seen being towed away across the Volga River in a dire state. This corvette, part of Russia's naval modernization efforts, was one of 20 in service and is now rendered inoperable by Ukraine. That same day, Ukraine also reported sinking the Russian rescue tug Vasily Bek, which was built to tow distressed ships, supply water and electricity to other vessels, evacuate injured personnel, and fight fires at sea. The Vasily Bek was hit by 2 Harpoon missiles provided by Denmark. On October 29, 2022, Ukraine's use of unmanned aerial vehicles, UAVs, struck again, this time targeting the Nautical-class minesweeper Ivan Golubets in Sevastopol and damaging the Soviet-era vessel. However, the most significant strike that day was against the Admiral Grigorovich-class frigate Admiral Makarov. This vessel, which had become the new flagship of the Black Sea Fleet after the Moskva's sinking, was hit by at least one drone, reportedly disabling its radar. Admiral Makarov had also played a role in the invasion, launching cruise missiles at a Ukrainian oil refinery and fuel depots in Odessa, terrorizing the local population. Although the Russian Navy claimed the damage was minor, the frigate was out of commission until August 2023, leaving one of Russia's most advanced ships inactive for 10 months. A significant victory for Ukraine. On August 4, 2023, a coordinated effort between the Security Service of Ukraine and the Ukrainian Navy dealt a significant blow to the Russian Navy near the port of Novorossiysk, approximately 260 miles east of Sevastopol. The target was the Rapucha-class landing ship named Olenogorsky Gornyak, one of Russia's 15 most critical vessels of this type, on loan from the Northern Fleet at the time. Although the Olenogorsky Gornyak wasn't sunk, it suffered severe damage that prompted a notable shift in naval operations. Following the attack, Ukrainian reports indicated Russian ships leaving the port and dispersing throughout the Black Sea. Moving forward to September 13, 2023, Ukraine launched a daring nighttime raid on Sevastopol. Sukhoi Su-24 supersonic bombers were instrumental in targeting two significant Russian vessels: the improved Kilo-class attack submarine Rostov-na-Donu and another Rapucha-class landing ship named Minsk. Both ships were struck by Storm Shadow missiles, resulting in the visible destruction of Minsk and rendering Rostov-na-Donu irreparably damaged, despite Russian intentions to return them to full operational status. Complicating matters further, the Ukrainian raid also inflicted substantial damage on Sevastopol's dry dock repair facilities, hindering Russia's ability to swiftly repair its naval assets. The same attack on September 13th saw the sinking of a Tunets-class patrol boat. On September 24, 2023, Ukraine resumed its use of naval drones, damaging the Project 22160 patrol ship Sergei Kotov. Although this attack didn't sink the ship, Ukraine achieved success on March 5, 2024, when Magurafev 5 maritime drones finally sank Sergei Kotov off the Crimean coast, marking the third notable sinking by Ukraine in 2024. February 2024 introduced another grim chapter in the Russo-Ukrainian naval conflict, as evidenced on February 1, 2024, when one of Russia's Tarantul-class corvettes, Ivanovets, was reportedly sunk in Donuslav, Crimea, by Magurafev 5 maritime drones. The ship's magazine detonated as it sank, resulting in a dramatic series of explosions, a fitting end for the Ivanovets. Continuing this trend, on February 14, 2024, Ukraine successfully targeted and finished off another vessel previously damaged in March 2022, further asserting its naval prowess in the ongoing conflict. The fate of the large Rapucha I-class landing ship Cesar Kunikov mirrored that of its counterpart, Novocherkassk, but with confirmation from Russian sources due to Ukrainian footage verifying its sinking. The grainy and black and white video depicts a Magura V-5 drone zipping swiftly across nighttime waters, resembling an elegant speedboat. In a dramatic showdown similar to David and Goliath, this small drone strikes the 370-foot-long behemoth, triggering a spectacular explosion. The footage captures Cesar Kunikov listing to its side before descending into the depths, carrying approximately 70 crew members. The aftermath of this incident was profound. Putin dismissed Black Sea Fleet Commander Admiral Viktor Sokolov, who was replaced promptly by Vice Admiral Sergei Pinchuk. This move underscored the severity of Ukraine's successful attacks on the Black Sea Fleet. A month later, Admiral Nikolai Yevmenov, Commander-in-Chief of the Russian Navy, also faced replacement, highlighting the strategic shakeup in response to Ukrainian military actions. Fast forward to March 23, 2024, when a Ukrainian missile strike damaged the Yuri Ivanov-class intelligence ship Ivan Kurs during an assault on Sevastopol. This ship had previously been targeted by Ukrainian drones in May 2023, marking a sustained campaign against it. Ivan Kurs plays a critical role for Russian forces, equipped with radar warning receivers and electronic surveillance devices, crucial for locating Ukrainian radars and missile installations along the Black Sea coast. Protecting this equipment is pivotal for Ukraine to maintain its defensive capabilities against Russian aerial and naval threats. The Kommuna, the Russian Navy's oldest operational ship, became the target on April 21, 2024, struck by an anti-ship missile in Sevastopol, though the extent of the damage remains undisclosed. Continuing their effective use, on May 6, 2024, Magurov-5 naval drones destroyed a Mangust-class patrol boat, valued at $3 million, used for search and rescue operations and countering subversive activities. When you add up all these attacks, it's evident why reports are celebrating the Ukrainian forces for taking down an impressive 25% of Russian ships in the Black Sea. Not bad for a country that doesn't even have a navy, right? There's even talk that Russian vessels are abandoning the Black Sea altogether, sparking hope that Ukraine might reclaim Crimea after a decade. Ukrainian Captain Dmytro Pletenchuk points out that only one loser missile ship remains in the Black Sea now. These remarkable achievements stem from Ukraine's bold and innovative asymmetric warfare tactics against a stronger but risk-averse and unimaginative opponent. Ukraine continues to devise new methods to sink Russian ships, and clearly, these methods have proven highly effective. But can Russia simply replace the ships Ukraine destroys? Historically known for its robust military-industrial complex and vast resources, Russia's situation has changed dramatically since the invasion of Ukraine. The country has mobilized fully, politically, industrially, and militarily, at a great, both figurative and literal, cost. This mobilization has drained resources that the Kremlin cannot easily replenish. Moreover, each naval vessel requires significant time and investment, both of which Russia is rapidly depleting. Even basic military supplies like shells and ammunition are being used up faster than they can be replaced. Adding to these challenges, Russian shipbuilders are facing shortages of critical engine parts, severely limiting their ability to produce new ships. Could Russia relocate existing ships from other fleets to fill the gaps? In theory, yes. However, in practice, this plan faces a major hurdle: Turkey. The dynamics in the Black Sea have shifted dramatically due to the Ukraine conflict, giving Turkey considerable leverage in the region. Under Article 19 of the Montreux Convention, which governs passage through the Bosporus and Dardanelles Straits, Turkey has closed these crucial waterways to military vessels not based in the Black Sea. This effectively blocks other Russian fleets from coming to the aid of the Black Sea Fleet in times of need. US officials have commended Turkey's decision, seeing it as a significant boost to Ukraine's security. However, there remains a lingering question. How has the United States responded to the presence of Russian vessels near Havana? Despite initially downplaying any potential threat posed by these ships as they approached, the US has taken proactive measures. This was highlighted by the United States Naval Institute, USNI, on June 11, 2024, which reported on Russia's missile tests in the Atlantic. According to USNI, the US has stationed ship spotters along its coast to closely monitor Russian activities. Additionally, the US has dispatched several of its ships, including 3 guided missile destroyers, to survey the Russian fleet. Complementing these efforts is the deployment of a P-8A Poseidon anti-submarine aircraft, specifically tasked with countering the presence of the Kazan nuclear submarine. This demonstrates a robust response aimed at matching and neutralizing any potential threats should the Russian ships deviate from their stated training objectives. A day after the USNI report, the UK's Daily Mail noted that American ships positioned themselves just off the US coastline as the Russian flotilla approached within 25 miles of Florida. The Royal Canadian Navy also joined in by deploying the HMCS Ville de Quebec, a Halifax-class frigate, to support the monitoring operation alongside the US. This coordinated effort underscores America's vigilance in closely monitoring the situation. But what if a worst-case scenario unfolds? What if Russia opts to launch an attack or engage in aggressive actions during its naval exercises? To answer these concerns, we must examine both the capabilities of Russia's vessels and the resources deployed by the United States in response. Among Russia's flotilla, the rescue tug and fleet oil tanker play supportive roles, but lack the firepower for direct naval combat. The focal points for potential conflict would likely be the Admiral Gorshkov and the Kazan submarine. The Admiral Gorshkov, the lead vessel of Russia's new Gorshkov-class multi-role frigates, commenced construction in 2005. It represents Russia's ambitious effort to modernize its naval capabilities amid America's significantly superior navy. Measuring approximately 426 feet and crewed by 200 personnel, the Admiral Gorshkov boasts formidable weaponry. Equipped with 3D air search radars, it can detect incoming aircraft and potentially intercept anti-ship missiles. Its arsenal includes a 130 mm gun mount and a 30 mm close-in weapon system, designed to defend against aerial threats with precision. Speaking of missiles, Admiral Gorshkov is armed with 8 of Russia's SS NX-26 Yakhont cruise missiles, specialized for ship-to-ship combat against any type of naval surface vessel. These missiles are highly potent, boasting a range of 186 miles and offering a choice between a 440-pound explosive warhead or a more powerful 551-pound semi-armor piercing warhead. These capabilities make them formidable against smaller ships, especially enhanced by improvements made in 2002 with imaging infrared and active radar seekers, ensuring high accuracy. What's more, these missiles achieve speeds up to Mach 2.2, making them extremely difficult to intercept. But that's not all. The Admiral Gorshkov is also equipped with the Medvedka II anti-submarine warfare system, 21-inch torpedo tubes, and the Hurricane surface-to-air missile defense system. Not to mention its BrahMos supersonic cruise missiles, capable of delivering a 660-pound warhead over distances up to 180 miles. Additionally, there's the Zircon anti-ship cruise missile, a hypersonic weapon reportedly capable of flying at 9 times the speed of sound, with a range of about 620 miles and advanced radar seekers. These impressive armaments highlight Admiral Gorshkov's capabilities on paper, showcasing some of Russia's most advanced naval technologies. But how would the U.S. destroyers, such as the USS Donald Cook reportedly monitoring Gorshkov, fare in a direct confrontation? The USS Donald Cook, commissioned in 1998, measures 505 feet in length, making it larger than the Admiral Gorshkov. It accommodates a larger crew of 330 enlisted sailors and up to 26 officers at full capacity. While specifics on which destroyers are deployed were not fully disclosed by USNI, the presence of USS Donald Cook, as reported by the Daily Mail, suggests a robust American response. In a head-to-head scenario, the odds slightly favor the USS Donald Cook due to its size and potentially greater firepower. However, the outcome of any naval engagement would depend on numerous factors, including tactics, crew training, and the operational context in which such a confrontation might occur. The Arleigh Burke-class guided missile destroyer is a formidable warship, equipped with an array of weaponry that would make it a significant threat to Admiral Gorshkov. At its heart is the Mk-41 vertical launching system, capable of deploying a variety of missiles suitable for any combat scenario: anti-aircraft, anti-submarine, anti-surface, and ballistic missiles. This versatility allows the destroyer to effectively counter both the Admiral Gorshkov and the Kazan submarine. In terms of its missile arsenal, the USS Donald Cook carries vertical launch anti-submarine rocket missiles, each with a range of 10 miles and a high explosive warhead weighing nearly 97 pounds. Additionally, it is equipped with Tomahawk and Harpoon missiles. The Harpoon missiles, which would likely be used against Admiral Gorshkov, can travel up to 149 miles and carry a substantial payload of 493 pounds. Although not as fast as the hypersonic missiles on Admiral Gorshkov, these missiles are powerful and can be launched in multiple salvos. Further enhancing its capabilities, the USS Donald Cook is armed with a Mk-45 5-inch lightweight gun, Mk-46 torpedoes, two 25mm machine guns, and the Phalanx close-in weapon system for defense against incoming threats. While Admiral Gorshkov boasts the Zircon hypersonic missile, Capable of incredible speeds that challenge traditional defenses, the presence of 3 U.S. destroyers monitoring the Russian flotilla ensures redundancy and overwhelming force if needed. Even if one destroyer were to be overwhelmed, the others could swiftly respond, demonstrating the USS capability to project power effectively. Moving to the Kazan submarine, also known as the Yasin-M, represents a significant leap in Russia's submarine technology. As the second vessel in Russia's Yasin class, introduced in 2009, it features numerous upgrades that distinguish it as a leading asset in Russia's submarine fleet. The Royal United Services Institute describes it as the future of Russia's submarine force, highlighting its advanced capabilities aimed at showcasing Russia's naval prowess to the United States. The Kazan is a nuclear-powered cruise missile submarine capable of launching a variety of anti-ship and land attack missiles. These include the 3M-22 Zircon hypersonic missile, similar to that of Admiral Gorshkov, and the UKSK vertical launch system, equipped with 8 SM-346 modules. Each module can house significant armaments, such as 4 P-800 Onyx anti-ship missiles or 5 3M-54-1 caliber missiles, both renowned for their destructive capabilities. The P-800 missiles are variations of the SS-NX-26 Yakont cruise missiles, boasting similar range and firepower capabilities. On the other hand, the 3M-54-1 caliber, an anti-ship missile, can travel up to 186 miles and carries a formidable 461-pound warhead. Complementing these armaments are 10 533 mm torpedo tubes for UGSTM wire-guided torpedoes, along with 6 324 mm torpedo launchers, enhancing the submarine's defensive capabilities. The Kazan submarine, powered by a 4th-generation KTP-6 nuclear reactor, is renowned for its stealth, believed to be the quietest in the Russian fleet. Teamed with Admiral Gorshkov, it represents a potent combination in Putin's strategy to showcase Russia's naval modernization efforts. However, could the Kazan withstand an assault from the ships and aircraft deployed by the US to monitor Russia's flotilla? The odds seem slim. The USS Donald Cook, alongside other destroyers, is equipped with anti-submarine defense systems that could effectively counter the Kazan's capabilities. Even if the Kazan were to successfully strike one destroyer, launching any missiles could expose its position to subsequent attacks from other US naval assets. Consider the P-8A Poseidon, officially a maritime patrol and reconnaissance aircraft, but also proficient in anti-submarine warfare. With a crew of 9, it cruises at speeds around 560 miles per hour, enabling it to cover vast ocean areas. Enhanced by advanced surveillance systems like the MX-20 HD sensor turrets and AN/APY-10 maritime radar, the P-8A excels in detecting submarines. Its arsenal includes free-fall bombs, depth charges, air-to-surface missiles, and the Mk-54 torpedo, ideal for engaging both surface vessels and submarines. Even operating independently, the P-8A poses a significant threat to Kazan and Admiral Gorshkov. Coupled with the 3 U.S. destroyers, each capable of neutralizing submarines and frigates, the P-8A contributes to both reconnaissance and offensive support roles. This formidable naval presence underscores the United States' preparedness to counter any potential threats posed by Russia's maneuvers near its coast. Perhaps this explains Major Dietz's assertion that the Russian ships do not pose a direct threat to the United States. While on the surface, it acknowledges routine military exercises, it also subtly asserts the U.S. Navy's supremacy over Russian naval capabilities. Yet, Putin's objectives extend beyond power projection. Forging stronger ties with Cuba and Venezuela through joint naval exercises sends a clear message to the U.S. about Russia's influence in its own hemisphere. Russia's historical ties with Cuba, despite periodic strains since the Soviet era, remain robust, as evidenced by recent high-level meetings aimed at enhancing economic and energy cooperation. Positioned just over 200 miles from Miami, Cuba's proximity underscores its strategic importance in Russia's geopolitical maneuvers. The joint naval exercises not only signify military collaboration, but also signal to the US that Russia has a dependable ally close to its borders, capable of hosting and supporting Russian naval operations. What do you anticipate the result would be if the Russian and American navies were to confront each other? Let us know your opinion in the comments below.